go live before we kickstart. So you know who's coming first? Tata, I think you are the last person coming, right?
Yeah, I'm the last person.
Okay,
It
so
was
we are
starting with Ibiso, then Mujupe, then myself.
So we are live, guys. We are live. It's good to be live. Yes, I think I need to kickstart. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us across the world. My name is Olumide Idowu, and I'm the Executive Director for International Climate Change Development Initiative. It's a great honor for us to also be part of the people celebrating International Youth Day today and across the world. As we all know that in the era of defined by rapid technology advancement and even the digital connectivity, the role of youth in shaping a sustainable future has never been more crucial. And today we are going to be speaking to a topic, navigating the digital landscape and empowering youth for sustainable development. This webinar will also be exploring the intersection of digital technology and sustainable development, where we're going to be focusing on how empowering young people can lead to innovative solutions for global challenges. And some of the key objectives that we're going to be looking at is highlighting the importance of digital literacy. And we're going to be looking at challenges and opportunity that is presented by digital landscape for young people. And we're going to also be looking at showcasing successful case studies from our great speakers on what they are doing, how they are using innovation to drive, investment opportunity for young people, and how also we can dialogue, collaborate, and participate to encourage innovation, innovative ideas and solutions. So on this platform, I have wonderful speakers from, not only Nigeria, but across Africa. I have Tato Gabitse. She's from the We the World Botswana chapter, and she's the chairperson. And I also have Ibiso Ikiroma Owiye. She's from the Grassroots Global Sustainable Development Network. And we also have, she's the founder and the executive director. Last but not the least, I have my friend here, my sister here, Mudukwe Oluwa Williams. She's a sustainability consultant for 4Vs Mazars in Nigeria. Sorry for modern that. So thank you very much for joining us today, and I really appreciate you all. And one interesting thing today that I see is that we are having a all women, a gender panel. So it was not coincidental. It's just that it was like we did not really plan it. I just felt like, if it is two boys, one male now, all the genders will raise attention on why don't we have more women. So now you have chances to speak to what you are today, and we are looking forward to listen from you and to hear from the impactful programs and projects you're working on. And I just want to say that you have 10 minutes for your presentation. For everybody joining us from across the world, like I said, International Climate Change Development Initiative is an organization that is focusing on building climate smart generation across Africa. And we're trying to see how we can use different dialogues, actions, opportunities to drive innovation so that we can build investment opportunity in different young people across Africa. So we are here to, build partnership, collaborate, work around sustainable agriculture, work around water management, and all other issues that is related to sustainable development. And we look forward to partner with as many as possible that can, be part of us in this journey where we want to build a future for young people, and young people can be recognized. So that I don't waste much of our time, let me call the first speaker. I think the first speaker is Ibiso, right? Yes. Ibiso, you have the floor, 10 minutes. And if you are joining us from anywhere, please keep your questions very clean and clear so that we can finish this thing maximum of 1 hour. They will be able to reflect on what we've discussed. Thank you. You have the floor.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, you are clearly.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Olumide. Thank you, International Climate Change Development Initiative, for the opportunity to speak on such an important day, which is International Youth Day. Like it or not, we as young people are driving so many innovations, so many actions when it comes to sustainable development, and then when it comes to taking actions, in our communities and even globally, as we can speak of. My name is Ibiso Ikremowe, and I'm the founder for Grassroots to Global Sustainable Development Network. And I'm also the chairperson for the Commonwealth Ocean Youth Working Group under the Commonwealth Youth Charter. And today we basically are looking at navigating the digital landscape, empowering youth for sustainable development. But this is a broad topic that if we want to speak about it holistically, we may end up touching so many facets of it. But I just, for today, for my conversation, I'm going to just be highlighting, say, 2 or 3 aspects of the digital landscape that I think that young people can key into, or young people can position themselves to be able to, to get empowered. And so we'll look at the digital landscape and the agricultural sector, which when we look at it, we look at the SDGs goal 2, which talks about zero hunger. And then we'll ask ourselves that how can young people begin to position themselves in the digital age or in the digital space when it comes to agriculture. And then we look at the precision agriculture. For those who do not know what precision agriculture is, when we talk about the ancient agricultural methods of planting, which is just the tilling oil, and planting of seeds, agriculture has moved. Agriculture is not what it used to be back then. Agriculture has moved into a modernized way of farming right now, which has to deal with technologies, which has to do with the artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things. When it comes to the crop, the seeds that are being planted, and even how they are being monitored and their progress until these seeds or these plants grow, harvested, and even gets to their final consumers. So agriculture has moved from what it usually used to be. And this is how, since agriculture has moved, young people also have moved with agriculture. Back then, if you tell a young person, come to the farm and come and plant, it's like, whoa, you see people running away from the farm because you actually do not want to go farming because of the challenges that are faced with farming. How do I take the hoe? How do I take the shovel into the farm? No, I'm not doing that. You rather run away to your friend's house rather than go help your mom farm. But agriculture has moved, and so you see young people interested in going into agriculture and even farming. We have a couple of them in Nigeria who are doing so much and doing amazing things in the farming sector, in the agricultural space. And that's because they advanced and made it more exciting for young people. And this is what can happen when we talk about the digital space and young people being empowered to work in the digital space in agriculture. And then we talk about when you look at the agricultural space and how young people can be empowered in the agricultural space, we talk about the improved seeds. Young people actually are innovating, how can this seed, if we bring this seed, if we bring this cashew seed, how do we improve this cashew seeds to be able to produce XYZ results in the shortest possible time? Produce, let's say, in 1 of production, 6 months. This is how young waiting. And then we look at the Internet of Things, to artificial intelligence. Young people are using technology to do so many things, to check the weather before planting is carried out, to even check for the supply. I'll give you an instance because we talked about the objectives of one of the objectives of this conversation is looking at case studies. I'm going to give you an example of how agriculture has moved. So I was in COP28 last year in Dubai, and one of the places I visited at the green zone was the Alaska farm. And if you go into the Alaska farm, you will see that agriculture has moved. It's no longer you going to plant only on soil. People now do the hydro farming as well. People now even do trend farming. You don't even have to do so much. You use nutrients, you use water, and then you use LED lights to also make sure that farming occurs. No, you don't necessarily have to till the ground for it. And all things are powered by technology, are powered by the digital space. And these are young people who have thought creatively on how they can make this happen and actually made it happen. And then there are still young people, because the gap is still wide, like it or not. There are young people also who are in the remote areas who do not also know how to navigate this digital space, on how to use this technology in their agricultural practices. And this is one of the challenges that we would see when it comes to digital space and agriculture. How do we bridge this gap? How do we make this technology accessible to those people in the remote areas? And this is where young people, and while I'm speaking, because of the time, I'll be touching the challenges and the opportunities. So try as much as you can to see the challenges and the opportunities while I am speaking as well. So if you look at it critically as well, like I said, there's a gap that still needs to be bridged. And that's where young people like ourselves, who are now open, who are now aware this is where we can now come into play, where we can also take this technology down to these indigenous people at the local communities, these marginalized groups who do not have an idea of this technology and all of this technology. And that's why we also advance we also bring into play the extension services, which is an opportunity. This is an opportunity for young people as well in the digital space, where they can take these technologies. So we talk about monitoring our crops. You don't have to come to the farm every day to come and monitor your crops anymore. You can stay from the comfort of your homes or your workplace and you're monitoring your crops. Even the particular pest that had maybe infected your plant, you can trace that using mobile devices, mobile applications, and all of that. So agriculture has moved. And young people actually are the ones pioneering this. But like I said, there are still young people who have not gotten a grasp of all of this. And that's where training comes into play. That's where internship comes into play. That's where workshops comes into play. I was doing a research and I discovered that there are fabrication labs where young people can just go there for free to just create solutions, create innovation, do prototypes of things that they want to bring to life. These can be done for free in this fabrication lab. But how many of these fabrication labs do we have across the countries, across the world? So that's why we need to agitate for more of these technological advances to get to some countries or some remote areas where they are not in existence. Speaking of which, like I also said, we look at I'll give another case study of how technology has moved, or how agriculture and digital space has moved. We look at the YSDN project, the Cool-Cycle project of YSDN and Kamin Technology, which I'm also talking about the opportunities that can also play out here. Creative collaboration. So there's an organization that has the technical know-how to carry out this project, have all the digital devices, and then there's an organization that knows how to pull in together the knowledge, the resources, and all of that. When they collaborate, they actually make possible the provision of livelihoods, the provision of services. And I'm going to talk about the emergence of rewarding livelihoods and services, even in the digital space for young people. Look at the blockchain. We look at the blockchain when it comes to agriculture. How can young people begin to look at the financial aspect of it? That's where you bring in the fintechs as well. We look at agricultural consultants. That's like another opportunity for young people to explore. How can they be agricultural consultants? How can they be extension service providers? You understand? How can they go down to these communities, teach these young people, these people in the rural areas, like I said, how to use these devices and then get paid for it? You know, these are rewarding systems. Also, increased productivity among young people is another opportunity, because you see somebody who is supposed to be out there carrying out some kind of social vices and all of that is now more engaged because of, okay, his passion for agriculture. He has seen how he can put his passion for agriculture and technology into use. And so not just putting it into use, he now begins to see how he can make money out of these things, because the end goal is also for them to make money. Because young people do the things they do because they want to make ends meet. Everybody does what they do because they want to make ends meet. So how do they get to see how they can make ends meet using digital technology while still within the passion that they want to also explore? And then, like I said, we're also going to look at the ocean and the digital landscape as well, because we're talking about sustainable development and how we can empower young people. And like it or not, like I said, it's a very vast topic, but I'm trying to streamline it into key areas that I know that young people find very passionate about. And speaking of which, when you talk about the ocean and the digital landscape, there are a lot of things that we are doing in the ocean and digital landscape. Currently today, which is International Youth Day, we at the Commonwealth Youth, Ocean Youth Working Group are launching an ocean hackathon for young people to actually send in their ideas and get funded to implement their ideas. this, of course, is open, or this is made possible because of digital technologies like we have. If not, back in the days, we could have people with great ideas that do not even know how they can reach these funders, how they can implement their ideas. But all of these gap has been bridged because of technology, you get. And so I've also heard of stories of young people who carry out ocean mapping, ocean monitoring, even in the circular economy world, even when it comes to ocean and the digital economy, digital space. But I also want us to look at the ocean sector, and let's look at the things that happen in our ocean space as well. We've seen cases, we've heard cases of illegal fishing, unreported fishing activities that go on there. We've seen cases of invasive species of fishes, we've also heard about the biodiversity loss when it comes to our ocean and our water bodies. But we've been able to see how technology can mitigate all of those impacts of unregulated and illegal fishing activities, I would say, because we've seen the use of drones. We've heard of the use of satellite systems where the ocean has been, where we use the satellite system and the drones to monitor our oceans. We've heard of the ocean mapping as well. A lot of people, some communities, I would say, I think I did a project in 2017 where we actually went down to a community in the south here in Nigeria, and we did an ocean mapping. We did a biodiversity mapping, basically to tell us what species are currently in existence, what species actually have gone into extinction. And this is not done just by using digital technology as well. We also had conversations with the locals there, the local fishermen and all of that. But you could see how digital technology has been able to report that, okay, this species was prevalent in this place or was found present in this place at a particular set date. And now, let's say 3 years down the line or 4 years down the line, this species is no longer in existence. Now, what has happened to the species? Has it migrated? Has the species gone into extinction and all of that? The pollution activities and all of those things, all of the things you have happening in that particular region. Young people have been able to use technology to tell that, okay, this particular species has gone into migration. This particular species has been able to has actually gone into extinction. We talk about the circular economy as well. You see how young people have been able to do so well for themselves in the circular economy, and they're not doing this all by themselves. Technology has played a huge role when it comes to the financial aspect of it as well. Technology has played a huge role. We talk about blockchain, like I said, when it comes to agriculture too, it also plays a huge role here. So how can young people, when they position themselves, how are they able to also track the transparency of the system to say, okay, XYZ services were rendered, XYZ returns came in from these services. When you talk about the economy and what have you, when it comes to the ocean space. And then we also want us to look at it of time. I'm just giving like an overview. We also look at the digital landscape and the change space, okay, which is SDGs 13. We've seen recently the progress we've made. Before, when you talk about climate change and the SDGs, we just used to hear, okay, let's go and do a project here, let's go and plant trees, let's go and do this. But now it has changed, and technology has helped it change. We hear about carbon credits, we hear about carbon markets, we hear about we have carbon bonds and all of those big grammars and big terminologies we hear. And all of these things are made possible, all of the shifts that has happened that was made possible by technology or by the use of technology. You can't talk about carbon credits or carbon market without bringing in technology. And so young people, the challenges most of the young people face is the fact that there is no training or no efficient training and workshops for these young people, no efficient internship positions for them. So we have all those these big powerhouse names that are involved in carbon credits, carbon markets, financial aspects of it and all of that. But how many of those young people do you see in those sectors? How many of those young people do you see that are being trained to understand what the system is, and then how can they position themselves for the job market in those systems? Or how can they also be able to, because one thing I believe is that when a young person is exposed to an idea, on just working on that particular idea, so many different ideas begin to stem from that particular idea you're already working on. You begin to think creatively, okay, how do I merge these two things to form this other thing as well? So at the end of the whole day, you see that when young people are empowered, when young people are given the opportunities that they deserve, the internship positions, or are actually asked to, or actually or if they actually create that collaboration, if there's this creative collaboration between young people, especially when I gave an example about YSDN and the Coming Technologies, how two different organizations saw the need to actually put an end to post-harvest loss, because that's the essence of the Full Cycle Project, put an essence to post-harvest loss using solar energy and even the artificial intelligence. And then they had to come into collaboration and say, okay, let's make this happen, let's make this work, creating jobs for not just people within the organization, but even people outside the organization as well. And then we, like I made mention of, the unavailability of relevant materials is also a very, very big challenge for young people in the ocean and young people in this space as well, in the sustainable development space, when it comes to the digital landscape or the digital technologies. So we have these resources. I can say we have these resources, but they are actually not very, very available to young people at a minimal cost. You go online, you see some courses you want to take on carbon credits or all of those things, and then you see the fee attached to them, and you're like, okay, how long do I have to save to get to buy this course, or how long do I get to save to get to pay for this particular certification and all of that? So making it available, these relevant resources or materials when it comes to digital technology that are linked to the sustainable development goals, making it available for young people at minimal costs is something that I think that would also help increase the productivity of young people, and also help empower young people and help them navigate their way in the landscape. Like I will also mention, the sustainable development goals are 17 in number, and they are very, very wild. Their targets and indicators are very, very wild as well. But young people need to understand what role are they playing in each of them. Some people can be in SDG 7, which is the energy, and so they can start thinking creatively, how do I position myself in the energy space? What digital tools do I need to help my work in the energy space? We talk about solar panel now, we talk about wind energy, we talk about hydro energy and all of those things. Most of those young people just know these things, but they actually do not know how to navigate their way around. So we have a lot of ocean people, a lot of people who are interested in the ocean space and energy. But how can these young people begin to understand what roles do their knowledge in ocean space and in the energy space also will help them in creating those hydro power plants that can be efficient for communities or coastal communities within those regions, and how can they get to power up their communities even without looking at the fuel or the other kinds of what they call power generating machines that they ought to look at. So young people, like I said, need to have those relevant materials available to them at their disposal at minimal cost, if I would say, and then also the training and internship opportunities for them, because they need to get this knowledge from people or from people, their predecessors or people in the space, for them to be able to utilize it. And for one thing, I believe as a young person in this space, I have seen where, like I said, I've seen where working on a particular innovative idea has born several innovative ideas. And so if, for example, I'm empowered to do a particular thing, let me say I'm empowered to be in the sustainable energy space, and I've gotten the knowledge on how to create a power plant or on how to create a solar panel that can drive a community, a marginalized community, help them with their, let's say, for example, a coastal community, help them with their harvested fishes from the river, make sure that the post-harvest losses are reduced and all of those things. If I'm able to get that knowledge, I have not seen where I can apply my sustainable energy knowledge into those coastal communities. Everybody must not face a particular aspect of sustainable energy, but there are different aspects of sustainable energy that other communities are actually in need of. And then we can only be able to know these things when we have the knowledge for them to do them. And like I would say, just before I wrap up, I would say there are so many opportunities that are there for young people in the digital space, but we need to create those opportunities for them. We need to create those opportunities for them. We need to educate those young people. Education is very, very key. We need to educate those young people. We need to bridge the gap between education and action, because it's enough to have all the passion and all of that, and it's enough to have all of the passion, but it's high time we begin to see how we can channel our passion, how we can channel our drive into creating innovative tools, innovative instruments that we can now use to foster the work we do in the sustainable development space. And digital technology is one very big way we can drive home this change that we want to see. And so, like I've mentioned, within the agricultural space, within the ocean space, and even within the climate change space, digital tools are very important in driving home sustainable development. Thank you so much. And I think that's my time.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Biso, for that wonderful presentation. I don't want to repeat what you've said. I can just say that you've actually touched base on some key aspects, looking at agriculture as a tool for investment opportunity for young people, and giving us some examples of what different organizations are doing also shows that young people are actually, doing something very important, and they are driving sustainable development in their local communities. And I also hear you saying it very clearly that this should be like a capacity for us to develop ourselves as young people. This should be a way for us to see it as a way to, add our own value to the ecosystem. And so thank you so much. And I'm sure you will still be with us because I'm sure some people on this call, and we also have some questions we'd like to throw to you after we take the 3 presentation. As you all know, guys, if you are joining us, this is us at ICCDA Africa celebrating the International Youth Day. And we are looking at the discussion that surrounds navigating the digital landscape, empowering youth for sustainable development. And just so you know, some of our expectation today is to see how we can gain a deeper understanding of the importance of digital skills in achieving sustainable development goals, and also to see how we can establish connection with like-minded individuals and organizations for future collaboration. And that was a very important key outcome, which Ibiso actually shared, where 2 organizations comes together to put us together and to solve a problem, a digital problem. And I'm very happy that this collaboration is giving us that opportunity to drive innovation that makes young people to, see that there's still possibility for Africa, or possibility for young people to continue to implement actions that can drive innovation. So thank you very much. Our next presenter here today is Modupeoluwa Williams. Modupeoluwa Williams is also a sustainability consultant with Forbes Mazars in Nigeria, and she's going to be sharing with us on our own view on what does the issue of navigating digital skills or digital landscape, and how empowering youth for sustainable development looks like to him. You have the floor. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Olumide, and good afternoon, everyone. Can you confirm if you can please hear me?
I can hear you clearly, and I'm
Okay,
sure people can hear you.
Perfect, thank you. Thanks to Olumide and his team at ICCDA for organizing this very important session where we discuss on a very auspicious day, International Youth Day. I think it's very important for us because we know that Africa has like one of the youngest population in the world. Over 70% of our population in Africa are actually the youth. So it is quite important that we're looking out for policies, having discussions that are geared towards empowering the youth to do better. And today we're discussing on harnessing digital literacy for sustainable development. I would not say too much because Ibiso started well and just give us a bit more context in two industries, in the agricultural space and then in the energy space. But I'll be speaking from my perspective as a sustainability consultant. And I think I'll be looking at challenges and then probable solutions, and how we can all even reimagine how we approach digitalization in the sense. So innovation is very important. We know how innovation has helped every industry, healthcare, entertainment. Like you can just think of any industry and you would see how over the years innovation has changed their approach to work. Innovation has changed how they approach things. But when we look at innovation and digitalization, what are the impacts on people? What are the impacts on the environment? So for the environmental impact, I think I'll look at it from two aspect, from the waste aspect, and then from the energy aspect. For the energy aspect, I won't go too much into it because, like I said, Ibiso did such a fantastic job breaking that down for us. But we could look at energy consumption. Our current mix in Africa, we rely on fossil fuels, we rely on energy that are not so bad, but in the long run would have such negative impact on our environment, right? And so when you're using, for instance, we're all on this call with our devices, our phones, our laptops, we're consuming energy whilst on this call. And what is now when we look at it, what does it trickle down to? Where do, like for me, I'm on I'm in Nigeria and I'm on band A IKEDC, and I know how that impacts my environment, right? And then there's also the waste aspect. Like I said, there's the e-waste. Let's say I am average consumer that loves updating my devices every now and then. And once Apple or Samsung or HP comes up with like the latest technology, I'm up grabbing, taking advantage of that. That is very good because we need to stay in line, and we need to follow the trends. While that is good, it has adverse environmental impact. And I just want to awaken us to that challenge. And then for the social bit of it, the social is more intricate than the environmental impact, because I think from looking at the social impact of going digital, going towards innovation, we can look at issues, cyber crimes, um, identity theft, intellectual property theft, cyberbullying, and all of those quite unfortunate incidences that happen online. And so when the youth are harnessing the digital space, how does this affect their mental health? How do you streamline what you consume? Because sometimes there are the online can be like a very big pot, and you can't really tailor the content that you really consume. So how do you tailor the content you consume to make sure that they are in line with your development, they are in line with information, you're consuming information that would build you up as a youth, would give you power to be able to do the great things that you want to do. So streamlining information, there are also issues concerning misinformation and people just misinterpreting or misrepresenting facts online. And then you have like a whole I mean, we can just think of social media and how that transcends in general when I speak of the social aspect. And then there's something Ibiso also spoke on that I would like to go into, and that's the rural and urban discrepancy. So when you think of the rural areas and the urban areas, they don't have access to digital infrastructure, they don't have access to energy, they don't have access to things that would enable them get access to things that are even online for free, not to even talk of things that you have to pay for online. So there is that gap. There are still some communities in Nigeria, in Africa, that do not have access to light, and these communities find it so hard to get information on time, develop themselves, have access to even building like an online business or things like that. So how do we come in as youth? How do we come in to bridge that gap? When the urban areas are developing, are we leaving the rural areas behind? Do we have government policies that are focused not just in the national level, like in the state and the local level? How does it transcend to communities that really need infrastructure to be able to give them access to information? Because we all know information is power, right? How do we bridge those gaps? And again, I don't want to go in depth because we have like a fully fledged panel, but we know digital skills are very much in vogue right now. Every company, every individual that does not have a bit of digital skill is not employable, right? And if you now look at that in the context of people that do not have access to energy, people that do not have access to digital infrastructure, how does this enable them to even get a chance to to ask for those jobs, because you see jobs these days, they ask, oh, can you type? Do you know how to do like the basic things on Microsoft? Do you know how to do this? Do you know how to do that? And if we have a population that cannot meet employers' demand, then how do we move forward? How are we planning to what are our plans in place? Like as an individual, I mean, all of this I'm saying, we're saying, oh, how can we make the change? We're not in power, but how does that affect us as individuals, and how can we change our mindset going forward when we're approaching intricate matters like this? Um, so when it comes to advocacy and awareness, and it's similar to what we're doing today on this session, right? We're teaching people, we're discussing on a particular topic. Advocacy and awareness, I think it has gone like a bit more, is now more faster, is better, because we have digital tools, we have products online, we have these, for instance, we're on this platform because of Zoom. That was an innovation that allowed this to be possible. Now we can share information on incredible topics that are quite critical for us as a human population. So we're just looking at it, okay, in terms of advocacy and awareness, how can the youth like take advantage of this? How do they know when to plug in into these sessions? How do they know when not to plug in? Like I said, is also knowing how to streamline that information. So yes, we're digital. Yes, we're going in the next 10 to 20 years. I'm sure we don't need to cook anymore. We'll probably have a robot doing that for us. You know, Ibiso has also spoken about digitalized agriculture and how it has changed the space in that sense. But I think what we should, a lesson, a food for our thought is how can we ensure that the youth, because the youth is the future, and the future is now, is not in the next 10 or 2 years, it is now. So how do we ensure that we're moving with the trend, but we are also taking the positive and maximizing on the positive to ensure that our youths have the right tools to continue to progress as a nation and as a continent, because I'm sure we have more African participants on this call. So I think that's just what I would like to leave us with. And again, going with what I started with, we are a youth, we are like majority of the African population is actually under 30 years. And this is like a proven fact. So what can we do now as individuals? What can we do in our capacities to ensure that we're moving as a continent towards harnessing the resources that we have? You know, a lot of continents, they have issues with not having jobs, but not having people to fill those jobs. But now we have the people, we have the capacity. How do we give our capacity the right tools, the right information, the right skills, so that they could actually occupy that position that is open for everyone to open for everyone. So I think that's what I would like to leave us with. My presentation is quite short and sweet. I want us to look at from our individual levels, as an organization, as a country, as a continent, how can we come together and make sure that our youth are actually positioned to get the right jobs, to get the right access to things? And how do we ensure that the underserved population, the underserved communities are getting access to these things? And then we'll see. I think for my case study, I would like to just mention Tunde Onokoya. And he just took a skill playing chess. And now we know what he has done for communities. We know what he has done for these kids. They play chess, it helps them mentally, but it also, because of that, it has given that community more, would I say, coverage. And it has also helped those children in terms of education, in terms of just alleviating poverty, in terms of alleviating hunger. You know how many SDGs has been solved by just using one skill, and that is playing chess. So, and that's why I keep saying, from an individual level, if you have a particular skill, or you know how to make beads, or you can sing very well, how can you harness that skill to ensure that your immediate community is served the right way, and you're not just serving your immediate community, because at the end of the day, it's to trickle down. It's to trickle down to like it is not whatever you do in your space, you might think, oh, it's a small thing, it doesn't really have impact. But at the end of the day, it has impact. It has a lot of impact when you think about it. So I think I'm done. Ibiso did a lot, a lot, covered a lot of the stuff I was
Yeah.
going to speak about. So I think I'm done. Thanks, Olumide.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dupe. You see, I really appreciate the diverse, point that you people are bringing on board. What I pick actually from what you've just said, let me just look at that area of social impact. And it's something that a lot of people need to start looking at. You've made us to know how do we, look at social impact and how is it crucial for communities and organizations today. You've also see the issue, the power of social impact. How do we use it to measure success? The role of technology, youth engagement, even collaborative efforts. How do we start looking at the challenges? What are some of the common challenges organization faces when trying to create social? So you've a little bit of giving us some aspect of how we need to start looking at the power of this social impact and how they could be able to use it to discuss the role of technology for young people. And your word that you also mentioned, that how can we ensure that young people have the tools to drive innovation, to drive sustainable growth, is also very, very important. And the future of social impact is where we can be able to have organizations that prepare for these kind of changes that we are looking at in investing in technology that can drive local impact. So thank you very much. Lua, thank you so much for your time, and I hope so you will still wait for our next speaker so that we can come back and convene some Q&A before we call it a day. Once again, if you are joining us now, this is International Youth Day by International Climate Change Development Initiative, and what we have been discussing for a couple of 30 to 40 minutes is navigating the digital landscape, empowering youth for sustainable development. And I'm sure you all have been able to gain one or two things from our first two speakers. And we are moving on to see how we can also still identify tools and resources that can be available for youth empowerment in digital landscape. So I will be calling on our next speaker. And our next speaker is from the far, far away Botswana. Her name is Ato Gabitse. She is the chairperson of WE, the World Botswana chapter. I'm sure you will also get to learn from another perspective of what's going to be sharing with us. And I look forward to hear from you. Everybody's looking forward to listen to you and, gain some insight on the kind of digital tools or opportunity that young people can use to drive sustainability. So you have the floor. Thank you.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us. And thanks to ICCDI Africa and Olumide for the invitation. My name is Tato Habaitse. I am a climate justice advocate and gender equality change maker. Also the chairperson of We the World Botswana chapter. And I'm very excited to be here on this particular day to celebrate Youth Day. I believe it's a very pivotal time for us as youth to be contributing to sustainable development and, contributing to the change that we want to see and taking Africa to where we want it to be. On today's presentation, I'm going to highlight the importance of digital literacy, how it's essential to all young people. But like the previous speakers have said, it's particularly transformative for those with access to technology. How it empowers them to solve problems, innovate, and contribute to sustainable development. But for many, especially young women and those in underserved communities, digital skills can open doors to education, job opportunities, and advocacy And we need to realize that not everyone has access to these tools. I mean, let alone here, I'm in the city, but sometimes I struggle to access like the internet. Now, how that then brings in the digital divide to those who are in those rural and remote communities. But I believe that we have contributors who are doing the amazing work and contributing to digital literacy and ensuring that we level that playing field, and those who advocate for it advocate for inclusive access. So the key SDGs that I'm going to mention is quality education, gender equality, and reducing inequalities. Digital tools enhance learning opportunities, but still ensuring equitable access is very essential so that no one is left behind. And one of the things that the government of Botswana does is they provide accessible Wi-Fi in clinics, customer records, and primary schools, and they also provide devices for primary and secondary school children, so that there's that level field and that they are able to compete to have a competitive edge with the other counterparts who have access to Wi-Fi and all these devices at home in the cities, and to bridge that accessibility gap. Speaking to gender equality, technology can help bridge that gap for young women who haven't had the chance to advance beyond primary school, beyond secondary school, to learn skills that can help them to, if they're in the rural and remote areas and they do arts and crafts, they can be able to put out their products out there so that they can improve their livelihoods. They also get access to these short courses that can help enhance their skills and how they can improve how they do businesses. But one thing that I want us to rethink is how can we advocate for more of these centers? Sometimes we are so placed in where we are, and being a gender equality change maker, I'm always thinking about people who are less privileged, who don't have access to the internet, who let alone don't even have access to a smartphone. How can we level the playing field that we can utilize other technologies such as USSD, the SMS platform, to impart information with them, to make sure that some of these courses are available in that kind of format and they don't feel entirely left out or less cared for, and reducing those inequalities by providing equal opportunities for all. So the challenges and barriers would be that they have lack of access to reliable internet and technology, and this prevents access to educational and economic opportunities. So you find that we tend to, those who have the privilege, we advance at a faster rate than them. And I want to encourage all of us in the advocacy space that always try and centralize all the opportunities that are available. Let's not go after those opportunities alone. Share those spaces or create, if there isn't a space where you have such things, create that space. Like I know here in Botswana, we have a network with some youth who are in different parts of the region. And what I normally do is, if there are opportunities that come and they offer that international platforms to go and share their voice, to share their experiences, I reach out to them. If they're not able to participate, there's that engagement where I can still find a way of taking their voices forward for inclusivity of those marginalized groups. Then how do we ensure that these digital spaces are safe? Safety is a major issue, and we know there's like cyber threats and all of that, how do we ensure that the people who are new to the space are not exposed to certain threats through those, by educating them and ensuring that we address those gender-based disparities in engagement? There are opportunities for youth in bridging that gap, that is using our skills to lead initiatives that address local and global issues and advocating for those who lack access. Providing education and mentorship, those online platforms that offer learning opportunities. If I have access, it is also opportunity for me to mentor others and support programs that aim to bridge that gap. It can also be talking to the local school that's, well, not in the city, and seeing how you can provide them with at least an hour of trying to teach them those skills, or at least raising awareness, and also to use your voice in these international spaces to advocate for policies and programs that increase access to technology and digital literacy for underserved communities. We have amazing case studies. I will not mention all of them all. They also touch on the other sectors that were mentioned by my colleagues, Ibiso and Mudupi. There's a platform that delivers personalized educational content to students via SMS. And this makes learning accessible without needing constant internet connectivity. There's also an edutainment program created by a Tanzanian youth that combines educational content with internet. One of the things that human nature is, it's human nature to be resistant to change. You go to these places and you're bringing in technology, which is a complex issue for them. Some children will not, or some youth and children will not be that receptive to engaging with you. So trying to tailor and contextualize those programs to either languages or to content that they can be able to understand, and make it more palatable in a way that they can effectively engage and incorporate into their respective communities and traditional methods. Then we have AfriLabs, which is a network of innovation hubs across Africa, and it supports young entrepreneurs and innovators by providing access to mentorship, resources, and networking opportunities. So these are the things that there are opportunities, and I feel we still need more of these. So in whatever capacity that we're able to do, let's help to support them. It can be to volunteer and offer your skills for a short while, advocate for access in these engagements that we get in, and share as much resources and tools, content as possible with our respective networks, even if it means that you take some time away to help one of the rural and remote people to apply for a certain opportunity, and just help contribute to equitable access. Thank you very much. I think we can move on to the other section if Olumide, you can hear me? Okay.
Can you hear me?
All right.
Can you hear me
Yes,
now?
now we
Yes,
can
my
hear you.
mic was,
Yes.
I was talking, my
Okay.
mic was muted. Yeah. So thank you very much. The way you pronounce your name, I think I need to get it now. Ato, right?
Yes.
I'm sure I get it. Thank you so much for your contribution. You've also touch base on policies. And I think it's very, very key. And you talk about how we need to give our time for volunteering, how we need to look at those ideas so that we'll be able to be part of what is going on in the space. And this has shown to us that there's still possibility for young people to drive innovation. There's still possibility for us to work together in building a sustainable collaboration that can foster, deepen understanding of the impact of digital skills, which we can use to achieve the sustainable development goals. We know there are 17 goals, while all the 169 targets. How do we make sure that we have a digital or we have a tool that can drive that digital landscape, that can drive, organizational collaboration, for the future for people. So thank you so much. And I want to say that this has been a very wonderful conversation for a couple of, I think we've used close to 55 to 1 hour conversation. And I think it's something that we will continue to talk about when it comes to this kind of issue. I just want to quickly go to our young people that have joined us. If you have any response, feedback, question, or contribution, let me just give you a room of 5 minutes. Please, if you can unmute yourself and speak, or you drop your question to the chat box, I can pick it up. But before, as you are waiting for somebody to come up for question, I have some couple of questions here, which is very, very direct. And I don't know if anybody on this call can, when you talk about, this issue of navigating the digital landscape is a thought-provoking topic, which we have been, looking at. So let me go straight to our last speaker, Tatu. How has the digital landscape evolved in recent years? And what implications does this have for young people or for youth engagement in sustainable development? Let me repeat that. How has the digital landscape evolved in recent years? Do we have any way whereby it has been, evolving many years, and what are the implications does this have on the youth engagement in sustainable development? You have the floor.
Thank you very much, Olumide. Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly.
Okay, thanks. I think technology has really advanced in the past 3 decades, really, because now almost every household has a smartphone, and I'm talking about peri-urban and urban areas. And this means that even for young people, there's a lot of exposure because it's like an uncharted or ungoverned territory. And for lack of awareness, and as I was speaking on the issue of security and youth being exposed to misinformation, being exposed to certain sites that, like, especially, and I'll speak to social media. I'm not so keen on social media, but you see how that social media has based its center or its KPIs around entertainment, and how youth can easily get trapped into that loop of constantly entertaining themselves and not building themselves up, or feeling that as long as they're engaging in these entertainment platforms, they are somewhat contributing to something sustainable or substantial that can build their life. So it's just a matter of having or raising awareness on how they can still utilize the same amount of time, especially those who are unemployed. They've studied and they seem to not be able to get jobs. They can create platforms. They have that ability to create that platform. Use the same amount of time they're watching these challenges. Not to say that there's anything wrong with them, but find a balance, fun and something productive. So I think we need to be more in these spaces to raise that awareness without judgment, to encourage youth to be productive with their time and learn these short courses that you don't even need to pay for to advance, because in as much as opportunities can tend to be specific, but you get to network with different kinds of people which will end up opening more doors for you. I hope that answers the question. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Tato. Yeah, it's true. This decade that we are now, there's a lot of advancements, and I can tell you that personally, I've made use of this digital platform to advance conversation, to increase more awareness, and to even to drive innovation that can make people to see why we need to speak out. And it has also shown a good platform for young people to actually speak their minds. Thank you so much for that contribution. Let me come to Ibisio. Ibisio, right? Looking at the issue of collaboration and networking, which I think you've mentioned, I just wanted to give us a little bit of how can youth collaborate with organizations, government to actually amplify their voices in sustainable development? How do you think they can do that? You have the floor. Is it Biso there? Can you hear me? Hello, Tatu, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I think maybe she's frozen.
Yes.
Or she's having some network.
Yes, I think she's frozen. I don't know whether
Can you please repeat the question? I lost you for a while.
Okay, welcome back. So what I'm trying to say is that looking at the role of the collaboration and networking, how can youth collaborate with organizations and government to amplify their voices in sustainable development?
Thank you, Olumide, for the question. That has been like a very big question a lot of young people ask, and a lot of young people are bothered about, because it's easy to get collaboration between co-organizations, I would say, between fellow organizations, but having the government come into play here has been a hustle, for young people. Has been very tough for various young people. But there's something that I've noticed with the sustainable development space and our action as young people. I have seen, or I have noticed, that when young people have that very creative idea, that's very striking creative idea that needs to be implemented, the government will come for you. And even if the government doesn't come for you, when you reach out to them, they will respond fast. Especially if that particular idea or that particular topic in question is a very trendy topic, they will buy into it quickly. So as young people, it is high time we begin to think innovatively, begin to think critically about what is the pressing issue that we need to solve, and what do we need to put in place to ensure that this particular innovative idea or this pressing issue is being solved. And so the truth is, as young people, we'll do bulk of the work. Where the government is going to come in is going to be like funding or giving it a very, very large audience or visibility. But as young people, the bulk of the work will be with us, getting the funds, getting the grants, and all of those things. When the government is coming in, they're basically coming in as, okay, the workload has been done by you, and then this is where the role we are coming to play. We've only had few cases where, okay, the government has come in from the very beginning. I say this very carefully, and I say this also because of the experience I've had in this space, reaching out to governments to say, okay, there's this idea we have, come and support us, and all of that. Sometimes I know that this particular idea, or when we submit a concept note or a proposal, sometimes it doesn't get to the hands of the government. Sometimes it's tossed under the table by their secretaries and all of those things. But like I said in the beginning, as young people, you have the work to do. You have bulk of the work to do in ensuring that you make the first step, you make the first move in pushing out this idea, pushing out this thing. How do I push it out? No matter how small it is, but let them see that you're doing something first. And then when you're reaching out to them and saying, okay, this is XYZ thing we've done. I was telling somebody, if it entails you getting sponsorship or partnership from external bodies, please do. That when you get the government to come in, they're coming in as they've seen that, okay, this is what you've done, and this is how they're able to help you push it. This is how they're able to help you expand on what you've done. But if you're solely dependent on the government to help you push an idea, I believe that would take so much time to get it implemented. But of course, that's why technology has played a very huge role, because we're talking about technology. Some of these opportunities young people have seen out there that has helped them implement their ideas is because of the use of technology. We've gone on our smartphones, we've seen, okay, XYZ grants to carry out XYZ climate change projects in XYZ community. Sometimes the grant is just there without a community, but there's a particular amount of money stipulated for a particular project. And the young person, applies for it and then gets it, and then funding is now possible for his project or idea to come into play. So it is very easy. Get the work done first of all. Get your concept note ready. Let the idea be very impressive. Use social media to push it out there, and then reach out to your government. Keep pressing, because they won't answer you the first time you call. Only people have been lucky to get government answer at once at the first call. But keep pushing, keep reaching out to them, and certainly they'll reach out to you, and also they will be collaborators with what you do. As you keep up with the projects that you carry out. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Ibiso. And if you have not really passed through this kind of experience, you will not be able to answer that question. For me personally, I've just decided to see that all what we do as young people is to amplify and is to help create a space for opportunity for government to see that young people are actually creating more impact. So thank you very much. And I'm sure everybody on this call have been able to pick one or two things from what Ibiso have already said. Then let me go to my sister Modupe Oluwa. Yours is because you're a sustainability expert. Let's look at the role of education. How can educational institution better prepare you to navigate the digital landscape and engage in sustainable practices?
Thanks, Olumide. And I think before I answer the question, I'll say kudos to my fellow ladies and well-spoken panelists. I think we'll be able to bring so much insights into this conversation. To answer your question, Olumide, education is quite important. All what we've said, they cannot be done without education. And education, I don't just mean formal education, because we have to also realize that not a lot of people have access to formal education. I'm speaking about other opportunities to learn. Again, going back to what I said earlier, streamlining the content that we consume online, right? We can also see informal education means town hall meetings, speaking, like church activities, things like that. So how do we educate the youth? How do we better prepare them for opportunities that lie ahead? Ibiso has spoken about grants. A lot of opportunities that come up every day. There are some of these opportunities that come up that do not even have enough people applying or going out to get those opportunities, So education is quite important, and including environmental, social, like including sustainability in our curriculum, in the formal education system, having these conversations. Like I can remember I was quite young, and in the Nigerian household, when you're those days when you're having guests, you have your mom give you empty bottles of Coca-Cola, and then you have to go and buy. And then when you're buying, you're dropping your old bottles to pick up the Coke bottles. That is sustainability. That was an informal education. So for me now, when I'm buying plastic bottles, I'm like, so where does this plastic bottle end up in? Those days we didn't, like, our landfills were not a huge mess that it is now. And I'm just saying this, that it's just about reimagining our mindset. We've as in Nigeria, we've had sustainability as part of our culture, so we have to go back. What were they doing back then in the old that worked? Can we do that again? Can we bring back the old? And how can we re-emphasize on sustainability as a whole? Like, how can we reimagine our approach to sustainability? And it's not hard. It's just taking the right steps and building forward from that. And the reason why I'm not focusing on formal education is because usually when we're having conversations about education, we usually like to focus on formal education. And I think that's so unfair, because when you look at the statistics of people that actually have access to formal education, it's quite alarming, So we need to see what are the youth, youth groups in your local communities, church, religious organizations. How can we send the word out? How can we get involved in their programs? How can we reimagine their programs to ensure that the information we're sharing is not just for unity, but it's also to, broaden their mindset and awaken them to a lot more opportunities that definitely out there ready for them. I think that answers your question. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much, great speakers. Please still be online. We're actually rounding up. I don't know if we have anybody on the call that still want to say one or two things before I give the floor to all our speakers. Just in one sentence, how do you want to summarize your, this international youth day that we are celebrating today? In just one sentence. Let me start with Ibiso. In one sentence, when I say one sentence, so it must not be more than one sentence. So how do you want to summarize, the issue of digital skills, digital media, navigating this issue of digital landscape for sustainable development? You have the floor, Ibiso.
Thank you, Olumide. And once again, I will say Happy International Youth Day to us. But before I go, I want to leave us with thoughts, a food for thought, or will I say a thought-provoking statement for each and every one of us as young people. The digital landscape is also innovating itself. Young people are doing incredible things with the digital space, but like we do in developmental projects where we look at the impact of, we do like an impact assessment of something to say, okay, what's the impact of this projects we're going to do in the long run? That's how I want us as young people, that even in the digital space, we begin to think of what's the impact of this digital technology or this digital idea or digital project I want to carry out on my community, on the people who, like Modupe talked about, the consumption, on people who consume this digital space. Let's begin to think, because that's the same reason that we have these challenges that we face now. People produce PET bottles without thinking, okay, where are they going to once they are being consumed, once the content is being consumed? So that's the same thing that will happen to us if we begin to use digital space as we go on, because we're already in the digital space and it's from here it progresses. So what happens to the things we produce, the project or the innovations that comes from the digital space? Where are they leading us to? What's the impact on the next generation? Let's begin to think in that direction. So when we are ideating and when we're producing those projects, we don't just think of ourselves alone and our consumption of this digital project, but we think about the future generations and what the harm is going to cause on them or the blessings is going to bring for them. So thank you so much. And thank you. It's been a wonderful time speaking on this panel or on this event today.
Yeah, thank you very much. One sentence, that's like 32 sentences. Thank you so much, Ibiso. Thank you for your, you still put more ice on the cake for people to actually understand what are the necessary to be looking at when it comes to the digital landscape for young people to drive sustainable development. Let me come to Modupe, your final statement today.
I don't think I should say any other thing. I think we've had enough. I think we just need to. I believe everyone has potential and has power. We do not realize it, but we do. I mean, from where we are now, what can we do better? And how do we communicate better to everyone else? How can we collaborate with even the small? You might look at them as small group, like let's say you are in church or you're in mosque or whatever religion you are in, and there's an opportunity to, speak about people. What are we speaking to them about? How can we control the little that is within our reach? And I also think it's quite important to just leave us with the fact that the youth should actually get involved in politics, and this is a very sensitive matter, especially for me as a Nigerian, knowing what we faced over the years concerning protests and involving in political discussions. But it's quite important to be in that room when they are speaking about policies that would affect you in the long run. A lot of the politicians right now will not fall under the category of youths, and I'm saying this factually. So when you are allowing people to make policies that would affect your generation, these people would not be alive to see the impact of those policies. How does that influence you as a person? And how can you get in the room and enter into such and just contributing to those such discussions. You know, you are creating policies, you are creating legislations that would affect me and my generation. How can I get in there? And you can get in there from your grassroots politics, your local government, state level, whatever, in however way you, in however capacity that you can contribute to this. As a youth, you need to take opportunity and you need to go ahead and get it done. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Another 32 sentences, which I think you've taken us in another direction where young people need to take responsibility. We need to be part of the conversation, not only on the table again, but as part of implementation. Thank you so much, because the digital space is growing day by day. Like I said, when I asked the question from Tatu, that a digital space is evolving day in, day out. And I think it's something that we need to look at. So let me go straight to Tatu, your last statement for the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mine is very short. Let's be a sister and a brother's keeper, and ensure that whichever space that you're in, you're thinking about those who have less access. I think that's all for me. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much, brother's keeper, and which is going to lead us to a future that we want to see for ourselves. I just want to say a big thank you, first and foremost, to all my team, all the people that join us on this call today. I really appreciate everybody. On behalf of International Climate Change Development Initiative, we really appreciate you all for coming. Special thanks to our speakers, which far away from Botswana. We have Modupe Oluwa Williams, we have Ibiso Ikiroma Owiye. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your contribution, your knowledge, your understanding of the question and the topic we are looking at to celebrate International Youth Day. As we navigate the complexity of this digital landscape, I think we must empower the youth who will lead us into a sustainable future. And this webinar will also really serve as a platform for knowledge sharing, inspiration, and even collaboration that we ultimately contribute to the more sustainable and equitable world that we want to find ourselves. So thank you very much. And we hope when we call you the next time on another topic, on another day to celebrate a fantastic environment that we find ourselves, we'll be able to have you. Thank you so much. And I hope to see you on another platform in another session. Thank you so much and have a great evening, great afternoon everywhere you are joining us from. To all our guests, to our young people joining us in Nigeria, outside Nigeria, thank you so much. You can go back and watch this conversation again on YouTube. Just go to ICCDI Africa YouTube. You'll be able to see this the webinar. And I'm very happy that we're able to hold the digital space. Network was able to be our friend today. So thank you so much. And you can watch and give your feedback in the comment section. If you still have something you want to ask us, you can send it to our speaker. They can come back to comment on the YouTube account to make their comment as well. Thank you very much. Peace out. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you.